A headline from the Washington Post for every day of January 2024. 2023 will be remembered as the year climate change arrived. 3 years after January 6th attack, GOP loyalty to Trump and rioters climbs, poll finds. Half of black D.C. residents lack easy access to health care, analysis shows. Another COVID wave hits U.S. as JN1 becomes dominant variant. Economy added 216,000 jobs in December, capping off a year of solid gains. Obama, worried about Trump, urges Biden's circle to bolster campaign. Trump allies seek to co-opt coming election security case to bolster 2020 lie. Hoping to govern in 2024, House Republicans fear a repeat of last year. Trump back in court in preview of campaign to come. Violent political threats surge as 2024 begins, haunting American democracy. Haley and DeSantis bicker in fierce Iowa debate without Trump. U.S.-led coalition strikes Iran-aligned Houthi militants in Yemen. Civil war talk and presidential contest reveals fresh divisions on race. The economy is improving under Biden. Many voters don't give him credit. Navy SEALs lost at sea were searching for Yemen-bound weapons shipment. Iowa was always Trump's. Can anyone stop his march to the nomination? Supreme Court to hear conservative challenge to federal government's power. Pakistan fires retaliatory strikes at Iran, risking new regional conflict. Houthi target U.S.-owned tanker in third attack in as many days. Biden advisors brainstorm best policy pitch to halt Trump's rise. Loyalty, long lines, civil war talk. A raging movement propels Trump. Biden expands abortion, contraception protections on Roe anniversary. Trump aims for decisive blow in New Hampshire as GOP opposition pins hopes on Haley. How Trump crushed Haley's momentum and came closer to clinching the nomination. Economy grew by a bustling 3.1% in 2023, fueled by spending, strong labor market. UN court orders Israel to do more to prevent killing and harm in Gaza. Trump is preparing for a new trade war with China. Falling inflation and rising growth gives U.S. the world's best recovery. Biden vows a response after drone strike kills 3 U.S. troops in Jordan. Texas border city on edge as Governor Abbott dials up battle with Biden. Zelensky to oust Ukraine's top general amid tension over new mobilization. A headline for every day of February 2024. Precision equipment for Russian arms makers came from U.S. allied Taiwan. Labor market grew 353,000 in January, a surprisingly strong pickup. U.S. strikes in Syria and Iraq killed dozens of militants. The U.S. economy is booming, so why are tech companies laying off workers? Atmospheric river slams California with life-threatening flooding. Mattis secretly advised Arab monarch on Yemen war, records show. In stunning vote, House fails to impeach Mayorkas over border issue. Supreme Court to confront Trump eligibility question, charting course of election. Special counsel report paints scathing picture of Biden's memory. How Justice Department special counsel let policies her critique Biden's memory. Trump says he'd disregard NATO treaty, urge Russian attacks on U.S. allies. Dozens of Palestinians dead, Gaza officials say, in Israeli raid that rescued 2 hostages. Inflation eased further in January as Fed weighs when to cut rates. ICE considers mass releases to close budget gap after border bill failure. Trump arrives for hearing in New York hush money case. Georgia prosecutors face allegations. Alexei Navalny, Russian opposition leader, dies in prison, officials say. Hefty fines and penalties will rock Trump family's business and fortune. Trump's anger at courts, frayed alliances could upend approach to judicial issues. Shooting survivors plead for more talks on guns as Trump boasts, "We did nothing." How Trump's NATO comments could affect the alliance and may have already. Trump and allies plotting militarized mass deportation and detention camps. Leaked files from Chinese firms show vast international hacking effort. Florida Surgeon General defies science as school tries to contain measles outbreak. Landmines return to Europe as frontline states fear Russian invasion. Supreme Court offers possible roadmaps for schools to diversify top programs. U.S. launches probe into possible fraud by Oregon collection groups. The economy is roaring. Immigration is a key reason. Biden wins Michigan but faces notable protest vote. Biden and Trump's border visits highlight humanitarian versus militarized approaches. A headline for every day of March 2024. Russian opposition leader buried as police keep public at arm's length. U.S. begins airdropping aid into Gaza, U.S. officials say. Backlogged with blockbuster cases, Supreme Court takes on Trump. Healthcare hack spreads pain across hospitals and doctors nationwide. Super Tuesday voters head to the polls in 15 states. Haley drops out, setting up Trump-Biden rematch. Amid explosive demand, America is running out of power. Fiery Biden takes on GOP, makes case for second term. FBI informant accused of smearing Biden's had past credibility issue. Reforms prompted by police brutality are being rolled back. How Big Pharma is fighting Biden's program to lower seniors' drug costs. Her to tell Congress he didn't disparage the president unfairly. Predatory online groups coerce children into degrading acts, then boast about it. Schumer calls for new election in Israel in scathing speech on Netanyahu. Willis can stay on Trump Georgia case, but only if prosecutor steps aside, judge says. Rich Fierro fought in America's war on terror, then terror found him at home. Russians protest Putin in long lines at polling stations, answering call from Navalny. Border security deadlock heightens risk of government shutdown. Officials knew of health systems vulnerability, but failed to impose requirements. Texas immigration law back in federal court after whiplash rulings. Justice Department and states sue Apple, accusing tech giant of a smartphone monopoly. House to vote on bill to avert partial government shutdown. Death toll from Moscow concert attack rises to 115 as more bodies found. Terrorist attack in Russia exposes vulnerabilities of Putin's regime. UN Security Council passes resolution calling for Gaza ceasefire. Baltimore's Key Bridge collapses after being struck by ship. NTSB secures ship's black box. Recovery efforts begin as 6 are presumed dead. COVID changed how we spend, more YOLO splurging and less saving. Mnuchin's plan to buy TikTok has some insiders bewildered. Baltimore braces for economic hit amid fears part shuttered for months. A headline for every day of April 2024. How Republicans texted and emailed their way into a money problem. Israel strike kills 7 world central kitchen workers. Group halts aid. Taiwan's strongest quake in 25 years kills 9, injures nearly 1,000. U.S. approved more bombs to Israel on day of World Central Kitchen strikes. Serious violation of rules led to strikes on aid convoy, Israel says. With no way out of a worsening war, Zelensky's options look bad or worse. Inside Donald Trump's secret plan to end the Ukraine-Russia war. Total solar eclipse to sweep across U.S. New voting laws in swing states could shape 2024 election. With nuclear deal in tatters, Iran edges close to weapons capability. In states with abortion bans, women often take the pill alone and afraid. In the Arctic, American commandos game out a great power war. The economy is revving up at a terrible time for Biden. Israel says nearly all 300 Iranian drones and missiles were intercepted. Trump in New York courtroom for jury selection and hush money trial. Johnson gambles on plans separating Israel aid from Ukraine funds. Secret Russian document offers rare official glimpse into campaign against West. Red states threaten librarians with prison as blue states work to protect them. Israel strikes Iran, Israeli official says. U.S. says it was not involved. House to vote on Ukraine and Israel aid bills. The evolution of Mike Johnson on Ukraine. Opening statements underway in Trump hush money trial. Police arrest NYU anti-war protesters. California students form barricade. Ukraine and Israel aid bill heads to Biden after months of debate. Supreme Court takes up unprecedented question of presidential immunity. Secret meetings and social chatter. How Columbia students sparked a revolt. In war-battered Gaza, residents grow angry with Hamas. Lawsuits test Tesla claim that drivers are solely responsible for crashes. An assassination plot on American soil reveals a darker side of Modi's India. Trump found to be in contempt of court for gag order violations. A headline for every day of May 2024. Police at UCLA as activists and counter-protesters clash. About 300 arrested in New York. Police at UCLA use stun grenades and breach barricades. 90 arrested at Dartmouth. Employers added 175,000 jobs in April as labor market growth slows slightly. University endowments show few signs of direct Israel and defense holdings. How Pope Francis opened the Vatican to transgender sex workers. How Putin is forging a harsh Russian society that threatens the global order. IDF takes control of Rafah crossing's Gaza side. Aid flow halted, border official says. In Arizona, election workers trained with deepfakes to prepare for 2024. Top Republicans, led by Trump, refuse to commit to accept 2024 election results. Paul Manafort, poised to rejoin Trump world, aided Chinese media deal. Biden's isolation grows as Gaza report both criticizes and clears Israel. In top races, Republicans try to stay quiet on Trump's false 2020 claims. Michael Cohen takes the witness stand. U.S. threats led to rupture of vital military ties, Nigerian leader says. Biden and Trump agree to debate on June 27th on CNN, another in September. Michael Cohen is back on the witness stand for more cross-examination. What Israel's strategic corridor in Gaza reveals about its post-war plans. Police in Austin and San Francisco secretly skirted facial recognition bans. Rescue teams trying to reach helicopter carrying president of Iran, state media says. Iranian president and former foreign minister dead in copter crash. Acting president selected. Europe supports draconian practice of dumping migrants in North African desert. Norway, Ireland, and Spain recognize Palestinian state. Israel condemns move. Electors who tried to reverse Trump's 2020 defeat are poised to serve again in at least 3 states. Biden administration straddles its own red line on Rafah invasion. 737 crash families win renewed hope in fight to hold Boeing accountable. As crypto cash floods Washington, Congress eyes gentler regulations. COVID will still be here this summer. Will anyone care? Trump makes sweeping promises to donors on audacious fundraising tour. Native American children suffered sexual abuse at Catholic-run schools. As Ukraine stumbles in war, Kiev and Western powers struggle to coordinate. Even as Trump found guilty, his attacks take toll on judicial system. A headline for every day of June 2024. Trump's guilty verdict sharpens the 2 big questions of this election. Biden team hails lightning speed call on strikes in Russia. Meanwhile, Kharkiv burned. Mexico elects its first female president. Early election returns in India signal Modi's party will struggle to win majority. GOP plans aggressive weaponization investigations in wake of Trump conviction. Turf war could thwart efforts for meaningful AI rules to protect voters. As nuclear power fails in the U.S., White House bets big on a revival. 4 hostages rescued alive in Israeli operation, at least 125 killed in Gaza, officials say. Israeli joy for a hostage rescue contrasts a weekend of death in Gaza. Inside Israel's hostage rescue, secret plans and a deadly wall of fire. Death toll from Israeli hostage rescue adds to legal scrutiny of Gaza war. Hundreds of officers abused children, many exploited their authority to coerce victims. Biden and Zelensky to sign 10-year U.S.-Ukraine security deal. Catholic bishops apologize for church's role operating Indian boarding schools. Fed's higher interest rates do not get all the credit for lower inflation. What the Christian right wants from a second Trump term. 6 in 10 key state voters turn out sporadically or are not firmly committed, poll finds. Biden to waive penalties for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. North Korea's Kim declares full support for Russian war in Ukraine. Despite a Biden-Xi agreement to crack down on fentanyl, Chinese sellers are open for business. Trump's convictions fueled donation surge that could reshape contest. Billions of people just felt the deadly intensity of climate-fueled heat waves. Millennials had it bad financially, but Gen Z may have it worse. Supreme Court agrees to review Tennessee ban on gender transition care. U.S. Surgeon General calls gun violence a public health crisis and landmark declaration. Trump trusted more than Biden on democracy among key swing state voters. DEI programs toppled amid surge of conservative lawsuits. Democrats panic over Biden, doubting his future. Race was once factored into college admissions, now it's factored out. Black men helped power Biden's 2020 Georgia win, some are wavering. A headline for every day of July 2024. Supreme Court to rule on Trump immunity and social media laws. Trump immunity ruling poses risks for democracy, experts say. In private, Democrats panic. For the Biden campaign, everything is fine. Governors describe honest assessment of campaign in meeting with Biden. Keir Starmer becomes prime minister after Labor's historic win. Defiant Biden doubles down on staying in race. Biden aides face scrutiny of whether they shielded him from showing signs of aging. Democrats long focused on beating Trump. Now they're divided on what to do. Biden is seeing a different world than other Democrats. Democrats remain divided on Biden, with one senator fearing Trump landslide. Most Democrats want Biden to drop out, but overall race is static, poll finds. Biden shows foreign policy depth in news conference with a few stumbles. Trump aides script GOP convention to soften his image, but face challenges. Trump says to stand united as FBI seeks motive in assassination attempt. FBI says ideology fueling Trump rally gunman still unknown. Witnesses warn police of shooter at least 86 seconds before gunfire, video shows. Biden set to announce support for major Supreme Court changes. Jeffries and Schumer privately warned Biden he could imperil Democrats. Global IT outage affects major airlines and medical systems. Lack of motive in Trump attack frustrates public, but fits a pattern. A 20-year-old's perplexing place in the catalog of American gunmen. Democrats start to rally around Harris after Biden's exit. Harris surpasses delegate count mark. Historic flood of cash pours into Harris campaign and allied groups. U.S. economy grew 2.8% in second quarter, a robust, unexpected strengthening. Barack and Michelle Obama endorse Kamala for president. Pennsylvania presidential election results could again take days to count. Inside the powerful Peter Thiel network that anointed J.D. Vance. World leaders cast doubt on Maduro's claim of victory in Venezuelan election. Rising from Biden's shadow, Harris faces crucial test on foreign policy. Hamas leader killed, Iran vows revenge. A headline from every day of August 2024. Evan Gershkovich and others to be freed in U.S.-Russia prisoner swap in Turkey. $10 million cash withdrawal drove secret probe into whether Trump took money from Egypt. We lost sight of him. Radio traffic shows failed search for Trump rally shooter. Trump team gambles on new ground game, capitalizing on loosened rules. Dow futures plunged 1,200 points in global market sell-off. Harris picks Tim Walz for running mate. Walz's first day on ticket gives Democrats another burst of energy. Harris and Walz's focus on the joy contrasts with Trump's darker themes. Israel repelled Iran's first direct attack. Is it ready for the next one? Walz's education record, pro-union, COVID cautious, and big jump in funding. Hezbollah is undeterred as Lebanon braces for war with Israel. How Coca-Cola tried and failed to suppress a boycott over Gaza. Walz's handling of George Floyd protests draws fresh scrutiny. U.S. plans to sell $20 billion in weapons to Israel over several years. Harris's policies have shifted and are still taking shape. Kamala Harris unveils populist policy agenda with $6,000 credit for newborns. Ukraine's offensive derails secret efforts for partial ceasefire with Russia, says officials. Kremlin response to Kursk incursion shows how Putin freezes in a crisis. Biden's swan song, Trump is a scab is born, and other takeaways from day one. After Floyd's murder, Walz found counsel and insights from black women during Minnesota's darkest hour. Walz brings home freedom theme, a muted moment for Pelosi, and other takeaways. Harris has put Trump in a box, and he's struggling to break out. Ukraine keeps crossing Russia's red lines. Putin keeps blinking. Israel says it hit dozens of Hezbollah targets. Group fires aerial barrage. Judge Cannon tossing Trump's case raises risk for acting prosecutors. Chinese government hackers have penetrated U.S. internet providers to spy on users. Israel launches raids in West Bank with mass arrests and gun battles, at least 9 dead. 24 hours of Trump. QAnon tributes and crude attacks and hawking pieces of his suit. Israel strikes convoy organized by U.S. aid group, killing 5. As polio reemerges in Gaza, groups rush to vaccinate children. A headline for every day of September 2024. Israel recovers bodies of 6 hostages, including an Israeli American. Trump aims to drag down Harris as he scrambles to keep up in tight race. How China extended its repression into an American city. Ukraine's foreign minister resigns in largest shakeup since war began. FBI was tipped off about suspect a year ago, agency says. Teen suspect in Georgia school shooting and father appear in court for first time. GOP probe of Biden's Afghanistan exit expands as election nears. Trump cashes in during final weeks of his presidential campaign. More black Americans are certain to vote for Harris, post-Ipsos poll finds. How Harris's and Trump's debate styles match up based on past performances. Harris crisply attacks Trump, prompting retorts with fiery rhetoric. Trump stokes suspicions about assassination attempt, raising fears of more violence. Russia expels UK diplomats as Putin warns over Western weapons in Ukraine. Harris and Trump place their chips on different states to win White House. Taliban begins enforcing new draconian laws, and Afghanistan women despair. FBI investigating Trump golf course episode as a potential assassination attempt. In the U.S., opioid maker Purdue is bankrupt. Its global counterparts make millions. More deadly blasts, apparently linked to electronic devices, hit Lebanon a day after pager attack. Harris and Trump essentially tied in Pennsylvania post-poll finds. With abortion in focus, Harris's event with Oprah Winfrey prompts cheers and tears. Israel's pager attack was a tactical success, but the payoff is unclear. As Taliban starts restricting men too, some regret not speaking up sooner. Pager attack on Hezbollah forces Iranian-backed official allies to rethink devices. Hundreds of Israeli airstrikes pound Lebanon as hostilities escalate. On the cusp of all-out war against Hezbollah, Israel weighs next move. New York Mayor Eric Adams indicted in federal corruption probe. Zelensky, amid urgent appeal to President Biden, confronts U.S. partisan split. After targeting Hezbollah leaders in Beirut, Israeli military says it is carrying out more strikes. Nasrallah's death stuns Lebanon as Israel pummels Beirut. Scores are fleeing North Carolina's flooded towns after Helene, which killed at least 87 in 6 states. A headline for every day of October 2024. Port strike freezes shipping on East Coast, posing a threat to the economy. In civil debate, Vance and Walz focus more on policy than personal jabs. Biden works to limit conflict as Mideast edges closer to all-out war. Trump's January 6th role back in focus as he readies new stolen election claims. FEMA deploys to rough terrain after Helene as it faces criticism and fights misinformation. Mossad's pager operation, inside Israel's penetration of Hezbollah. The land is full of blood, as Israeli kibbutz where October 7th never ends. Tampa Bay braces for Milton, which could be strongest storm to hit the region in a century. Milton upgrades to Category 5 as Florida braces. Storm moves inland with fierce winds and rain. Obama admonishes black men for hesitancy in supporting Harris. Trump amplifies falsehoods about immigrants in closing appeal. Captured documents reveal Hamas's broader ambition to wreak havoc on Israel. Biden sends anti-missile system and 100 troops to Israel, deepening U.S. involvement. Climate of chaos went unchecked at Maryland's Max Security Psych Hospital. Trump's erratic endgame, threats, personal insults, and some dancing. Israel complicates election's final stretch, and issue Democrats hoped would fade. U.S. hopes Yahya Sinwar's death can spur cease deal, but regional officials skeptical. This Pennsylvania county may hold clues whether Trump and Harris can draw the voters they need. Trump fixates on Arnold Palmer as all-man in showers during profane rally. Musk promises a daily $1 million lottery and pro-Trump effort. Experts question the legality. Trump flips stance on making voting easier after storm batters North Carolina. U.S. officials say Russia smeared Tim Walz and might stoke post-vote violence. America creating deepfakes targeting Harris works with Russian intel, documents show. Some of Trump's most senior former advisors warn he could deploy troops against Americans. Israel strikes military targets in Iran. GOP focus on rare non-citizen voting may continue long after Election Day. Harris adopts Trump's playbook as she targets his age and competence. Harris, entering final stretch, stresses unity and paints Trump as a divider. Harris holds closing arguments rally in D.C., warns of Trump's threat to democracy. Harris's message has been clear, but Biden's blunders still haunt her. A headline for every day of November 2024. Missouri voters may overturn one of nation's strictest abortion bans. Russian disinformation videos push lies on voter fraud and immigrants. Early voting turnout high as almost 44% of 2020 electorate cast ballots. Panic buttons, drones, and snipers among plans to guard a high-risk election. Harris closes out campaign in Philadelphia as Trump attends Michigan rally. Trump takes Pennsylvania, nearing victory as GOP claims Senate. Trump and allies prepare to take power. Trump makes key appointment, naming Susie Wiles as his White House chief of staff. Democrats begin grappling with who will lead them through exile. How Kamala Harris and Joe Biden lost to Donald Trump. Trump talked to Putin, told Russian leader not to escalate war in Ukraine. Trump eyes Rubio for Secretary of State, Waltz for National Security Advisor. Trump selects Musk and Ramaswamy to push for drastic changes to U.S. government. With Gabbard, Gates, and Hegseth, Trump dares Senate GOP to defy him. Trump praises cabinet in waiting as it stirs controversy in Washington. Trump team weighs Pentagon pick after sexual assault allegation surfaces. Trump won, the celebration started, behind the scenes the trouble began. Trump picks Brandon Carr, who laid out agenda in Project 2024 as FCC chairman. 2 women testified that Matt Gaetz paid them for sex, lawyer says. Biden approves anti-personnel mines for Ukraine, undoing his own policy. DOJ seeks forced sale of Chrome, other big changes at Google in monopoly case. Pam Bondi, Trump's pick for Attorney General, is a longtime loyalist. Trump makes burst of cabinet announcements day after Gates' exit. Pam Bondi, Trump's Attorney General pick, said prosecutors will be prosecuted. Musk and Ramaswamy race to build a Doge team for war with Washington. Trump promises tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico. Trump fills cabinet with loyalists, competing ideologies, and government skeptics. Gaza deal appears distant even with Lebanon ceasefire. Women despair over Taliban rules, but many Afghan returnees don't see it. Food, gas, and cars could quickly get pricier under Trump's tariff plan. A headline for every day of December 2024. Trump says he will replace FBI Director Wray with loyalist Kash Patel. President Biden pardons his son Hunter, reversing his long-standing pledge. No more daylight savings time? Musk and Ramaswamy muse on ending clock changes. Martial law, then a reversal. An astonishing 6 hours in South Korea. NYPD searches for gunman after fatal shooting of United Healthcare CEO. White House weighs preemptive pardons for potential Trump targets. Many migrants targeted for removal by Trump can't be deported, ICE data shows. Syrian rebels claim to enter Damascus. Prime Minister vows cooperation. U.S. hopes for peaceful transition of power in Syria after Assad's ouster. Man arrested in Pennsylvania, charged with murder in United Healthcare killing. The suspect had so much to offer, friends said. Now he sits in prison charged with murder. FBI Director Christopher Wray to resign before Trump takes office. Assad's collapse triggers race to find missing chemical weapons in Syria. Russia packs up military assets in Syria, future of bases unclear. Biden touts his legacy, but frustration seeps through. Before shooting, Brian Thompson worried about United Health's negative image. 15-year-old female student named as shooter at Christian school in Wisconsin. Court records point to troubled home life for Wisconsin school shooter. Republicans reject spending bill under pressure from Trump and Musk. Government shutdown looms as House rejects Trump-backed GOP funding bill. Congress averts government shutdown as Senate passes funding bill. Trump and Musk set off this shutdown crisis but got little in return. Trump signals plans to use all levers of power against the media. U.S. military mission in Syria will pose an early dilemma for Trump. Trump's election sparks fight over judicial retirements and new judgeships. For some Latinos, prosperity gospel led them to Trump. Trump wants federal workers back in the office. It may be a tall task. Early student loan borrowers owe $121 billion. They ask for Biden for relief. Joe Biden's lonely battle to sell his vision of American democracy. Jimmy Carter dies at 100. Carter to lie in state at Capitol with state funeral on January 9th.